Hello, folks. Good evening. Welcome to the first session of Evaluaciones de las Habilidades Lingüísticas, okay? So in this session, folks, we're gonna, we'll be discussing about how to teach and test grammar and vocabulary, okay? The main objective of this is to identify the forms that we can use for testing and for teaching grammar and vocabulary. And we're gonna see some examples. So the topics that we're gonna discuss in this session, as I told you before, is how to teach and testing grammar and vocabulary. And we have the three main forms. We have the form, the minute, and the use, okay? So this apply for grammar and even for vocabulary. So let's see. Before starting, I would like to listen to you. What do you think about this? Let's see the first one. It's possible to create authentic and motivating assessment to offer constructive feedback to the students. What do you think? Do you agree with that? Do you think that that is true or false? So I'm gonna name to some of you. Ana Flores, what do you think about the first one? It is possible to create it. Sairi, would you like to add something related to the first one? Hello, Grace.
Hello. Can you hear me?
What do you think about the first one? Do you agree with that? Do you think that that's true or false?
Um, I would say so. It's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, let's see the second one. All tests should offer the test takers measurements or results. Paola, what do you think about this one?
Hi. So I say that it should have a measurement if it's a test.
Yeah.
So you can actually let us know how they are doing. And we know that it's not about the score, but at least they have like a point that they can follow up.
Okay, thank you, Paola. Let's see the third one, performance-based test measure test takers knowledge about the language. Arturo, what do you think? Do you agree with that or do you think that is false?
I think that a performance-based test, well, it does give you a little bit of knowledge as to what the student has. It's not the best way to assess it.
Okay, thank you very much. Jervin, what about the number 4? Tests are the best tools to assess students.
Okay, the tests for me are the best the best way to acquire knowledge, information.
Yeah.
The tests are important. The tests are important because we learn many topics, interesting information. I don't know. This test in class how to acquire information about the class.
Okay, thank you, Urban. Claudia, do you agree with him, or what do you think about the letter D? Says that tests are the best tools to assess students. Can you hear me, Claudia? Okay, thank you, Claudia. I understand. What about you, Brandon? Do you agree with that? That tests are the best tools to assess students. Thank you very much. Let's see the letter E. Assessment and testing are synonym terms. Judith. That is true or false? Okay, folks, thank you for your participation. Remember that this is gonna be taken into account for your final scores. Okay, let's move on with something different. So, as I told you before, that the main topic for this session is to know how to teach and test grammar and vocabulary. But first, we need to know what is grammar. Andrea, what do you think? What is grammar?
I think that grammar are the rules of a language. When it comes to sounds, words, sentences, and even the order of elements. Like when we talk about the syntax, like if we're talking about a sentence, what goes first? A verb, an adjective, the noun, and so on. So I would say it's like the rules of a language.
Okay, thank you very much. Ismael, how would you teach grammar, Ismael? According to your your experience as a student and how you have seen the teacher teaches. So how would you teach grammar?
I would say that well, grammar is a very extensive field.
Yeah.
But a way of teaching grammar is through activities that are not actually centered in the teacher, but engage with the students for them to participate so they can acquire
Yeah.
the grammar knowledge that we're going to be targeting. Not on the board, I would say, like giving them the grammar rules on the board, but having them participate in activity where they are going to be meeting those rules without looking at the board.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Jacqueline, what about you? What do you understand by vocabulary? Grace?
Teacher, for vocabulary, I understand that is a list or a collection of words,
It could be.
or also phrases that are explained or defined individually.
How would you teach?
Yes.
Me, teacher.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, for me, vocabulary. For example, in learning English, is to expand your vocabulary because it's essential for effective communication and comprehension. English skill.
Okay. Grace, based on your experience, how would you teach vocabulary to young adults?
Well, I would consider giving some readings.
Yeah.
Whenever you are assessing a vocabulary, you can show some readings with a specific topic. For example, readings about culture, and in those readings, you can apply new words for the students to learn. And this is something applicable for young adults because they might not like to read, however, they already understand by context.
Okay, thank you. And Jessica, do you agree with her? Or would you like to add something different to the last question?
Yes, teacher, can you hear me?
Okay.
Can you hear me, teacher?
How would you teach vocabulary to young adults?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, yeah. Okay, right. Just I want to make sure. Yes, I definitely agree with Grace. As way it could be by readings, but also we can use some pictures as well. We can place in a picture about the things that you would like to they know, like say that you have a table and you have the picture, and also you can include a sentence, how they can use that. I think that is one way to teach.
Okay, thank you very much, Jessica. So let's move on, folks. So as I told you before, when teaching and testing grammar and vocabulary, we have three ways, right? We have the form, we have the meaning, and we have the usage. So which things we're gonna take into account in the form? So as you can see there, how is the vocabulary unit, functional expression, or grammar structure to form? So what does it mean? That the form refers to the visible and audible parts of vocabulary, okay? The functional expression and the grammar unit. For example, we have the spelling. You know that spelling corresponds to grammar, right? We have the phonemes. Do you remember in the previous classes, it was in translation too, that we were discussing about the phonemes. So this is related to grammar, okay? The syllable stress, words in phrase. So the affixes that we have, as we mentioned in other classes, like derivational affix and inflectional affix, right? So they are called prefix and suffix. Syntax. So what is syntax? Syntax, folks, is related to the word order, okay? And so on. That is related to the form. If we check a grammar tense and checking the form, let's see the present perfect. So you know, as you know, that present perfect is formed with the modal auxiliary have, right? And then plus the past participle of the verb. As you know, the whole perfective tenses work with the past participle of the verb. And if it is continuous, present perfect continuous, we use the been plus the main verb with ing. So those things that you're clarifying or specifying, verb plus ing and so on, they are the functional expression or grammar structure, okay? What about meaning? What meaning does the vocabulary, functional expression, or grammar structure have in the specific context? So when we say what does the vocabulary, what's the meaning of the vocabulary? As you know that in English, we can use different words for expressing different things. But when we talk about synonyms, they are synonyms, but we cannot use in the same context. A very simple example. In our native tongue, we use cafe, right? But cafe, it is used for the color and drinks, right? We can say, mi color favorito es café. Mi bebida favorita es el café. So it's the same word. But in English, we cannot say, my favorite color is coffee. Or my favorite drink is brown. So it's totally different. Probably they have the same meaning, but we cannot use it in the same context, okay? In this, something important that I was forgetting when we talk about meaning. So here we have two aspects of meaning. The first one is literal or essential meaning of the word. For example, when we say she's wearing a red skirt, the literal or essential meaning of the word has to do with the naming with a particular word, right? That in this case is the color. What about use? What do you think about the use, folks? It says that when or why is the vocabulary, functional expression, or grammar structure used? What do you think it is? Yeah? Paola, what do you think is the use of the words or when we talk about grammar and vocabulary?
Well, I guess that when we're talking about the use of vocabulary and grammar, we're talking about a structure. Whenever we take words and form either a sentence or a paragraph, then we have something that makes sense. So there is where we're using a structure and using the proper vocabulary.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Thank you.
Teacher,
Yeah.
I have an idea about the
Okay, go ahead, Eduardo.
question. Brandon.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, yes. Well, I think so that the grammatical and vocabulary is the construction and the sentence, and the more methodon is the advance, it is advance about the feedback. For example, in the students, for example, teacher can use the correction error about the bad structure grammar. So it is the more expression about the more expression, the skills, and multi-choose the question and call feeling exercise. That's it.
Okay. Let's see an example, folks, here. For example, if I tell you, mail won't be delivered on Thursday until further notice. So do you think that that is a good example of this? And why not use a subject? Why? Because remember that here we are using passive voice, and it's so important because they are more formal, okay? And when using passive voice, remember that the most important is the action indeed, not who said the action. And it is understood that mail are delivered by the postman, right? You understand what I mean? Okay, let's move on. let's see, how would you teach these words? Travel, how would you do it? Imagine that you are teaching vocabulary and you have to teach that word. How would you do it?
With mimics.
With mimics? How so?
Yeah, I think it's the best option because you need to avoid to make translations. And it's better to make them feel like make appropriate they are listening. In my way, that's the case I learned to speak this language. Everything was mimic. I need to go to the bathroom, so I needed to make the mimics that I need to go with my hands. I think it's the best option. And also, we can use pictures or drawings.
Okay, thank you. Let's see the other word. Journey. How would you do it? Alicia?
Well, I'm sorry, teacher. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, journey, I think it's a little bit more difficult to do it with mimics, but I can give the meaning of the word if it's gonna be instead of translate, as the way you help us to explain the slangs. Maybe give a sentence to my students in order for them to understand what is this word. So I can give examples with simple sentence in order for them to get it based on context.
Okay, good. Let's see the third word. The third word is for Arturo.
Okay.
How would you teach trip?
Well, in order to teach trip to the set of students, I will first go with its use, meaning that trip is we will have this activity plan to have to a certain place that's already been discussed. So I will perform role play sessions or schedule activities where they can make a schedule of what the trip will be and how they will get along with it.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay. Now my question is, folks, if we have journey, trip, and travel, they have the same meaning, right? As a verb.
Yes.
So
It is.
No.
do you think that we can teach in the same way, in the same context, the three words?
No.
How so? How would you do it? Yeah.
I will say that maybe for the word travel, we can do it by discussions or like with pictures, you can do it. And when it comes to journey, you can involve like role playing because you can place two people that try to do all of the content of the story, like how it was how it was that journey and how you feel when it comes to that. And trip also it can be illustrated. You can choose like a weekend trip, a family trip, so are different, and you can choose different contexts to teach them.
Okay, thank you. Last opinion about this, how would you do it? For example, if I say, my journey was fantastic, my trip was fantastic, do you think that they have the same meaning in the context, or they are expressed in different contexts, or?
Is the same?
Like that? I'm sorry.
No problem. I'm
I
sorry.
will say that journey is how you feel about the trip that you had. It was your feeling.
Correct. I think the same, teacher, because you're not making emphasis about what type of travel or journey. You're making emphasis how you felt. So it was amazing. That's the main issue right there. So it's the same for me.
Adding to that, when it comes to the sentences that you're given, you're
Yeah.
not giving us enough context to pretty much determine
Yeah.
the right usage. But for example, a trip is usually shorter, and a journey it's something a little bit more extended. So that's the way I would explain
Yeah,
it.
that's right.
So a journey, for example, could be like in the Great Wall of China because it's something really long, and maybe it's a trip could be for 1 month, and while a journey could be for 2 or 3 months. So that's the way I will explain it. But in the sentences that you're giving us, there's not enough context to determine the right one.
Okay, yeah, you agree, right? Folks, that has been all for today, okay? Thank you. I really appreciate your connection to be connected in this session. Remember that this is replacing the class of this Sunday, March 10th, that you want to attend a presential with me, right? So you can go to the platform and you will find the task, the homework for next Sunday. That it's on March 17th. Be prepared for that, okay? And if there's something that you don't understand, please let me know and I will be helping you, right?
Con traducción, teacher, todavía no tenemos nada, ¿verdad?
Lo de traducción, mañana, si es traducción 2, bueno, lo que es traducción 2 y traducción 5, el día de mañana nos estaremos conectando. Yo les voy a avisar en el grupo a qué hora, pero sería por la noche de igual manera, ¿ok?
Ok.
Ok,
Ok, está bien.
chicos, les agradezco que se hayan conectado. Buenas noches.
Good night.
Bye, teacher.
Okay, good night.